Hey guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Warriors hit with devastating injury news amid hot start. The Golden State Warriors announced on November 14 that starting guard De'Anthony Melton has a sprained left ACL and will undergo further tests. Melton started the last two games at shooting guard, with the Warriors winning both games against their Western Conference rivals Dallas Mavericks and Oklahoma City Thunder. In those two wins, Melton averaged 16.5 points on 47.8% shooting with 7.0 rebounds, 3.0 assists, and 2.0 steals as the perfect complementary to Stephen Curry in the Warriors' starting backcourt. The 6'3" Melton also made 7 three-pointers during that stretch. It's disappointing, Kerr said, per NBC Sports Bay Area, after their November 14 practice. That was really the perfect mix. De'Anthony does a little bit of everything: on-ball defense, rebounding, three-point shooting, playmaking. It was great fit, and that's why we targeted him. The fact that he's going to be out the next game is a bummer. We were finding some momentum. We'll see how this unfolds. We've got options, we've got a lot of depth, and we were very capable of filling in. But it's very disappointing for him and for us. Kerr has yet to make up his mind on who will take over Melton's spot in the starting lineup. Previously, Kerr has rotated Moses Moody, Gary Payton II next to Curry in the starting lineup. He also inserted Brandon Podziemski when Curry missed time. The Warriors face a shorthanded Memphis Grizzlies team on Friday, November 15, in an NBA Emirates Cup matchup at home. The Grizzlies have been starting Scottie Pippen Jr. and Jalen Wells in the backcourt, with Ja Morant, right hip subluxation and pelvic muscle strains, and Desmond Bane, right oblique strain, sidelined. Melton's injury threw a wrench in Kerr's plan to establish his starting lineup. Following their 127-116 win over the Thunder, in which Melton had a double-double, 19 points and 10 rebounds with 3 steals and 2 assists, Kerr declared he plans to keep the guard as the starter next to Curry in their backcourt. "I would like for that starting group that was out there tonight, I would like for that group to be our group going forward," Kerr told reporters. JK has shown how important he is to us off the bench. He seems to really fit into that role well. We're looking for really good defense to start the game, and that lineup gives us 2 on-ball defenders with Wiggs and Melt, and then 2 bigs with Draymond and Tracy. I think we'll stay with it and see how it goes. Curry gives his stamp of approval on Melton starting next to him after their huge win over the Thunder. "It's exactly kind of what you expected," Curry said on NBC Sports Bay Area's Warriors post-game live show. "He's been around the block. He's a gamer. When we played against them when he was in Memphis and we were in that 2022 playoff series, he was a difference maker on both ends of the floor. Tonight, that third quarter was huge. He was hitting big threes, playing great defense." Kerr highlighted Melton's two-way skill set as the main reason he wanted to keep him in the starting lineup. "I think it gives us a really good two-way lineup," Kerr told reporters. "You saw what Melton could do at both ends. He's a really good passer, an excellent three-point shooter, and a really good on-ball defender as well. Melton the starting lineup is something we've talked about a lot in camp and here in the early going. Really liked it. I think it makes a lot of sense for us." Warriors skyrocket price on former untouchable guard after hot start. The Golden State Warriors are the talk of the NBA town for their sizzling 10-2 start to the 2024-25 NBA season. However, their talented second-year guard won't become the talk of the trade block anytime soon. According to ESPN's Tim Bontemps and Brian Windhorst, the Warriors will likely listen to teams interested in star guard Brandon Podziemski, but not without attaching a hefty asking price to his name. Hat Tip Bleacher reports Eric Beeston league executives are well aware that Podziemski is well liked by Lacob, and the bar to get him out of Golden State remains very high, Windhorst reported. Podziemski has settled into a bench role by and large this season. Nevertheless, the 21-year-old is averaging 8.5 points and 4.8 rebounds with a 3.5 to 1.4 assist-to-turnover ratio on the campaign. His three-point shooting is way down from a season ago, where he's now converting 20% of his looks compared to the 38.5% he was knocking down in 2023-24. Most recently, Podziemski wowed the NBA world with an unreal half-court behind-the-back pass on the money to Jonathan Kuminga for a fast-break dunk in Golden State's 123-118 win over the Memphis Grizzlies on November 15. He has a polished offensive game beyond his years. The Wisconsin native's playmaking ability offers immeasurable upside for a Warriors team needing a star to burgeon after Klay Thompson's departure. That being said, the Dubs clearly have a championship framework in place. Albeit, that does not negate their need for another marquee superstar to down the likes of the defending champion Boston Celtics and Western Conference powerhouses in the playoffs. If they truly want to win a fifth championship in the Stephen Curry-Draymond Green era, they may need to parlay some of their most attractive young assets to make a major upgrade. That just won't be Podziemski, who they envision becoming a star in the league. Not unless they get a haul in return. Warriors swap former top 10 picks in compelling trade pitch with East playoff team. The Golden State Warriors have remained patient with Jonathan Kuminga through his career to date, clearly holding belief in his talent and potential even if they weren't willing to meet his demands from a financial standpoint prior to the October 21 extension deadline. Kuminga's stature as an impending free agent does leave him as a potential trade candidate ahead of the February 6 deadline, but most believe the Warriors still won't move the 22-year-old for anything less than a bona fide all-star in return. The idea of Golden State trading Kuminga for another young player is one scarcely mentioned, yet that's just what Colin Keane of the Sporting News has done in a recent proposal involving the Indiana Pacers. According to Keane, the Warriors and Pacers could orchestrate a deal involving Kuminga and young guard Bennedict Mathurin, with a first-round pick also heading Indiana's way in the process. One would think that Indiana Pacers shooting guard Bennedict Mathurin is considered almost untouchable by Indiana's front office, but the Warriors might be able to tempt the Pacers by dangling Jonathan Kuminga's expiring contract and a first-round pick in front of them, Keane wrote. After an injury cut short his 2023-24 that included the entirety of Indiana's run to the Eastern Conference Finals, Mathurin has made a strong start to this campaign in averaging 18.8 points and 6.4 rebounds on an impressive 52.1% shooting from the floor and 43.5% from three-point range. It's unlikely that Indiana would be interested in a Mathurin for Kuminga swap, but it is worth noting that the Pacers did previously have interest in the Golden State forward according to The Athletic's Anthony Slater on a recent episode of the Warriors Plus Minus podcast. From a Warrior perspective, it would make some sense to swap the 7th pick from 2021 for the 6th pick in 2022, giving them over a year to have a look at Mathurin before having to decide whether or not to pay him big dollars. They could also extend him ahead of next season as they chose not to with Kuminga. Mathurin may be the better player right now, but Kuminga brings a more unique skill set that Golden State otherwise lacks in terms of athleticism and dominance at the rim. Mathurin is athletic in his own right, but he's a shooting guard/small forward of which the Warriors are already stocked with on the current roster. It's an intriguing deal for both teams, yet one where they may ultimately both say no. Both teams could be active ahead of the trade deadline, particularly if the Pacers' underwhelming start continues as their 5-7-12 games. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Bennedict Mathurin? Leave your opinion in the comments.